Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Squat Cobbler. This is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram.
And I am Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything. And while you guys are looking us up, hopefully you've already liked and subscribed to the Bog Panda YouTube channel.
Have you seen the little fancy button I put on the videos now for like
I
and
did. I
subscribe?
was really impressed by that.
Yeah, that took me a lot longer than it should have to figure out how to do, but it's nice. So hopefully you do that. We would really appreciate it. For those of you who come back regularly to listen to our stuff, thank you very much. We're continuing. We're going to keep talking retro arcade stuff. And we have a very interesting one to talk about today. As I think any listeners of the show are probably aware, in general, Mike's an arcade one-up guy. He's building a full arcade. Has lots of machines out there. I'm a little bit more of a Legends Ultimate AtGames guy. I've got the multi-arcade and been really, really enjoying that. But we remain open to both, so both companies can feel free to send stuff our way to test and comment upon. But Mike actually shared this with me. A real interesting development at an incredibly interesting price point is starting to emerge, and that is the AtGames Legends Core. So you shared it with me, sir. Why don't you talk a little bit about why that caught your attention and why you thought that might be a good topic for us to visit on tonight?
Well, I saw a couple of people posting, and I was looking up at games related stuff because, as we spoke about on our pinball episode, if you guys haven't checked that out, you really should go. Let us know what you think. We were talking about, as Kelly mentioned, I'm more at heart, I guess, an arcade one-up guy because it fits the aesthetic that I'm going for with my home arcade situation better. But I really, really like the specs of the Legends pinball. So I was looking up some AtGame stuff in my spare time. Came across the Legends Core, which from the initial posts I saw, I thought it was another plug and play. So for anybody who doesn't know, and I know AtGames now is really becoming synonymous with their Legends series, they actually started doing cheap, and by cheap, I don't just mean cheaply made, I mean like low price point entry level plug and play consoles with classic games and homebrew games on them. But they got sort of a bad reputation of low quality level of some of those things. And it took them a while to break that. And it really was the Legends sort of system that they put out there with the Legends Arcade that broke that finally. So when I saw this, I thought it was weird when I saw the initial post, because to me, that almost seems like a step back, like a plug and play console. And then I realized that that's not, because I thought this was just another iteration of one of their plug and play units that you would see at like Bed Bath and Beyond and things like that in their bargain section. But instead, this is something that's actually tied into their Legends arcade series. So basically what it is it's the CPU board that's running their Legends consoles, which is now, the arcade systems. They have an arcade stick that you can just attach directly to a TV. They have the pinball coming out, and now they have this that they're calling it a puck, and it's basically just a plug and play console with the core Arcade Legends system on there and 100 games built into it. That was something that really interested me, because even though I will be getting the pinball so that Kelly and I can play pinball together if he successfully negotiates his way to that, even though I will be getting that, I probably won't be getting the Legends Arcade unit itself, because, I have the full arcade one-up arcade that I'm putting together, and I'm also going to be getting the Neo Geo system and all that. So if I were to pick one of those up, it's going to be further down the line. But this was something that kind of caught my attention as a way to sort of jump into that Legends Arcade pool a little bit without, taking up more floor space in the arcade that I'm not ready to yet. And then I saw the price point for it, and that was the most interesting thing to me. So before we even hit on that, what did you think when I sent this to you?
So I was unaware of it. They've been busy. I mean, and it's been hard to keep track of everything they're doing, because you had the Legends Ultimate multi-arcade. They came out with a 1.1 version of that, mildly enhanced. Added pinball buttons on the side of it, amongst other things, but largely the same unit otherwise. Then they came up with the Gamer and the Gamer Pro, which to a degree I have with my Legends. It's the control console for the Legends Ultimate.
Just with an HDMI port, right?
Right, which is what my control console has, already. So when I had a little bit of my monitor issues or scaler board issues with my Legends Ultimate, that's what I kind of flipped to. Is I used it like a Gamer Pro for a while and connected it to my projector and did that. And I had the kind of better quality arcade controls and buttons, and it was just playing on the big screen, which was actually okay, but I wanted the Ultimate arcade games aesthetic. So when you said it, it was interesting because I didn't really know a lot about it, and then I watched the video you shared, which is really good. We'll include a link to that, by the way, in our YouTube post if you guys want to check that out. I thought it was a pretty well done review of it. And it got a lot of appeal. And what was kind of mentioned there, and the thing I'm real interested in, is there's also something that's called the Legends Connect, which is basically a piece of hardware that has most of the core AtGames Legend framework on it that you can basically then build your own. So people who want to build their own arcade game or build their own tabletop, it's a board to start you off to do that brings all the AtGame goodness into it in one shot. And what's interesting here is I don't know how big a distinction there is between that and this, the core, because you could probably build yourself a cabinet and drop the core inside the cabinet and connect it up, and you're going to basically be there. You're going to have a lot of the same kind of functionality, which is great. And the core comes with Bluetooth, HDMI connectivity, and so you can kind of connect all sorts of peripherals multiple ways to it as well. So it offers a lot of versatility. You can use it as the plug and play, and this is night and day from their discount ones that you can get, in terms of you can connect it to a TV or a projector and just use it as another way to game, or at some point if you want to and it's something I'm giving some serious consideration to, you could kind of build your own cabinet and incorporate it in that.
It's funny you say that because I hopped over to the AtGames site because I saw some people post about this. Then I checked out that video, which really filled in a lot of the blanks and on what exactly this is and what they're doing. When I jumped over to their site just to kind of see the included games list, not that that's that important, because just like with the Legends, this does have the bring your own game feature. So you're going to be bringing your own elements to this as well. But just to check that out, that's when I saw what you were talking about of them, sort of encouraging people to build their own cabinets. And at first I was like, that seems a step too far. And especially, like you said, with this, you could essentially just drop this into a cabinet and have this be the core of your cabinet as well. But it's funny you say that, because then afterwards I was thinking about it more and more. Once the arcade is more or less done, would I want to do a custom cabinet or something like that in there?
Yeah, I think it could be a really fun project to kind of go a bunch of different ways, because you could either go the route of build a sit-down, a kind of like a full-size sit-down one, and do something with that, or build a really nice cabinet with you can get a really good-sized monitor, good high-quality monitor, and you could just have like a monster gaming machine. It could be really, really cool.
Personally, I feel like, especially when I have the aesthetic down of a real full arcade feel to it, to me, if I'm going to build a custom cabinet to go in there, it has to be ridiculous. It's got to be unlike anything that exists currently. Like I would personally just really pull out all the stops and do something insane. A cabinet that you climb into in some way, you're completely engulfed in. Something crazy.
Yeah, get a 55-inch screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's either a pagan or a squat cobbler unit. Kind of could be the thing. But yeah, because you could really build a real statement piece with that, which would be cool. And this, AtGames is smart in terms of what they've done here with this ecosystem, because you do get the bring your own game option. You also get ArcadeNet, which still remains in beta and free, but ultimately ArcadeNet, their concept is it's kind of the Netflix of video games, that you can kind of go there and purchase games and bring them down in an appropriate licensed manner. And so it's a pretty
only
cool
way.
The only way that a person would do such a thing would
right.
be But it'll be a pretty good route. I don't know how long they're going to keep that thing in beta and free, but it is nice right now because it just extends the number of games you get initially, and obviously they'll probably build their catalog up a lot more when they can generate revenue from it. But that becomes like an ongoing, instead of just selling the product and getting the money for the product, now you have an ongoing revenue stream of people purchasing games. So that could be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Now, I know, like you were saying with the pinball of us being able to play together. So if I was to get this within that Arcade Legends framework, would we be able to play against each other with you with your Legends arcade cabinet?
I believe so. I mean, I want to dig in just a little bit more, but I think you get, and that's the benefit of kind of getting in this ecosystem, is you're going to get this menu, a settings menu or an options menu of all the different kind of capabilities that are there, and in there will be a two-way chat, so that you can do that and the ability to kind of play head to head. And we haven't. I mean, probably now is as good a time as any. The price point's going to be $59, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So for $60, you're basically into that network, and you have access to all of those capabilities as well. So we should be able to, with this, we should probably be able to figure out a way to connect and play some games that way. We need to keep that quiet because we need to kind of continue to keep Mike and I can play pinball together. As it's a key message point,
It is.
Got to keep that going, but I think we should. So it's only going to be available online. They're not a lot of times they distribute through Walmart, Sam's Club, GameStop, and then they've got a store, but their store is almost always sold out. It's oftentimes sold out at the other places too, but this one here, it appears that it's only going to be an online only deal for a while through the AtGames store. And at this point, I think you're just putting a marker in on it. You're not going to be able to. You can't actually order and have one of these things delivered to you tomorrow, but soon.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And that price point, I see no reason you wouldn't try it if you're in any way interested in kind of working your way into that AtGames ecosystem you were speaking about and the framework that they're sort of building up. It seems like a completely reasonable way to jump into that at the lowest possible price point. Now, it doesn't include a controller. That doesn't bother me, though, because that gives me options of a couple of different controllers I can hook up to it. And really what I see with this, as opposed to an arcade cabinet or the pinball machine, what I'm seeing with this is really hooking it up to the projector and playing on that. This seems ideal for that sort of situation.
Yeah, I think it's perfect for that, and it kind of addresses, well, I don't know if it's a weakness necessarily, but there were some folks grumbling. So I have the AtGames Legend 1.0, came with 350 games, then we got what was it, 40 or 50 more Taito games, so a pretty big group. But amongst those many great games, there are a bunch of clunkers as well, and a bunch of console games. So there's Atari games and all of that on that as well. Some of the old Atari 2600 games on my Legends Ultimate, and some kind of purists on an arcade system level are like, I don't know why these are on there. That's not why I got it. I want pure arcade games. But that kind of issue goes away when you're connected to a projector, because you're like, yeah, this is how I'd play my console game on there as well. So I think it's a good thing, but I think it's perfect for that. I really, really do. And so that's probably where I'll start with it, although I'm going to continue to give some thought to how could I jury rig this thing up? Could I build my own pinball machine at some point in time?
Right.
And those types of things could be fun. But I think initially just hooking it up so that you've got it on your main media type of thing lets you kind of connect into a pretty cool ecosystem that's been built and have some connectivity with other people on it. But yeah, so this will be a nice, you get this and it's a nice doorway for you and I to start doing some stuff on the AtGames platform.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. It seems like a great product, and at that price point, I really feel like you can't make a bad investment for that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And probably wise, because Mike mentioned at the very beginning, their kind of initial rep dealt with these get them at Bed Bath and Beyond, buy, oh, I can play Space Invaders. It would come with a controller that was horrific. It was simply terrible. And so being able to actually connect it to a real controller that's of decent quality will be a nice addition. But I think a massively awesome game room addition is to have that and then be able to kind of connect your Xbox or PS3, 4 controller to it to have some fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good addition, and I like the idea too. Like, so the Arcade Pro sort of joystick console thing, I don't mind that, but that brings me back to my same issue that I had with the Capcom plug and play that they made. While that looks cool, die cut to the Capcom logo, the cuddle and play
Yeah.
feature of it doesn't 100% work out for me. So I like the idea that I can just get, a nice 6-button joystick, sit it on my lap. If somebody else wants to play, they can sit next to me comfortably and play with their own controller.
Perhaps a
I like
cushion
that.
between you, whatever.
I like that.
Yeah.
We can cuddle if we want to, but it's not required by the game.
Although, so there are a lot of products that are emerging in this conversation. So there's going to be the pagan video game console. That'll be nice. The Squat Cobbler one, I'll work on that. Might be Squat Cobbler Pinball. We'll see. But I'll work on that one. But then I think we need to work on a joint venture on the Cuddle and Play. We then build, and we put the controllers even closer together. So,
I mean, we need to work on this. We need to start beta testing this right away.
yeah.
So I do have a custom pagan game controller, Xbox controller.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So-
actually, I think you've sent me a photo of that before, but if
believe
you
so.
get a chance tonight to maybe shoot me a fresh one,
Sure.
I'll see what I can do to kind of plop that into the video here so folks can get a little peek at the awesomeness that is the pagan Xbox controller.
Yes, and I got that made. We had made an album called Session, and it did really well right at the initial release. So I wanted to get something to sort of commemorate it, and I was looking for a new game controller, and Xbox was offering some sort of a deal on customized controllers. So that's how that came about. It uses the color scheme from the album and says Pagan on it. So I was pretty excited about that. I think I need a Squat Cobbler controller now too,
Okay.
for whatever this insane arcade unit I'll eventually build will be.
Yep, that sounds good. Yeah, and Session is pretty awesome. Particularly one part of it, I think, and so folks should check that out too.
But yeah, I'm really excited to kind of see where this goes. I love that they made something that is more of an entry level price point into their arcade world that they're building off of this. That's really cool. That's obviously going to bring a lot more people in, and people like myself who maybe are going more the arcade one-up route or things like that to start testing out some of the AtGames software that's out there.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move. I mean, I'm really surprised at the price point because it strikes me that you probably could have easily had this $20 higher without even blinking on that. But if this gets you into the ecosystem, then all of a sudden the doors open a little bit more to, yeah, maybe I will get that pinball, or yeah, maybe I will get a Legends Ultimate because. They've done a very good job with it. They continue to enhance it and improve it, and they've added some of the multiplayer stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, this definitely strikes me as a gateway gaming system for AtGames, and that's perfectly fine. And it's definitely something, I love the mini consoles and I love all my classic consoles and things like that. There's a lot of wires involved in those. So switching back and forth between consoles isn't ideal with the projector. So something like this where I could have a few hundred games built into it, I can just easily scroll through. And I know I could always hook a Raspberry Pi up to it as well. It's not that I'm not aware of that, but I like this sort of presentation of this where, we'd be able to, co-play a game or Bluetooth talk to each other and things like that.
Yeah. So We'll include a link to the information on the AtGames website about this. It does look super cool. I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely getting one as well. I will find a use for it one way or another. I think initially, we've got it's a previous video that's on the channel. I've got a video of my setup that I've got a PS3, a Nintendo 64. And a PS2 connected to my projector on the top, but go ahead and kind of slide this guy in there too, and now I've got the ecosystem there, and that'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like to do, one of the things that I did like about the old AtGames sort of plug and play units before the higher end, mini consoles and stuff started to come out. Prior to the pandemic, I was splitting a lot of my time, if we weren't on the road, between Philadelphia and New Jersey. So I could just leave the AtGames ones in New Jersey, and at least I'd have something to play when I'm there if I had a little bit of downtime. So it's something like this, with the size of it, easily transportable back and forth. So that's great too.
Yeah, and that's the other, I think, really big, not that anyone's allowed to really travel a lot these days.
Right.
Remember the day when you used to go places?
Yeah.
If those days ever return again,
when the outside opens up again.
Yeah. The talk about portable. You get this bad boy to connect up HDMI and bring a controller, and away you go. Very, very cool.
Yeah, and even portable as far as I just happen to have the case right here. This is the case for my projector. So, throw that right on top of there. That can just fit right on top of any bag that I'm dragging along with me. It's easily I'm set up projecting the game on a wall somewhere.
That's cool. That would be very cool. Excellent. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for this week. Again, hope you folks do like and subscribe. We really appreciate the return viewers, and we'll be back again next week with some more fun retro game content.
Thanks, everyone.